Welcome to Best in Class. My name is AJ Madden. I help individuals and organizations become best in class at what they do. Today's guest is Ethan the Wolverine Goss, and I've been excited about this interview, probably more excited than any I've ever done because I've known Ethan for a dozen years and I've seen it firsthand, his commitment to being best in class at everything he does, all in 100% of the time at everything he does. And it's quite the story. And we're going to learn a lot today about excellence in service and what it takes to be best in class. Now, Ethan Goss is a mixed martial arts champion from Petersburg, Pennsylvania. He is a Bellator veteran, and he is the #1 ranked featherweight fighter and #3 at lightweight in Pennsylvania. He is the 24/7 fighting champion, featherweight champion, and was awarded back-to-back Fighter of the Year awards in 2022 and 2023. He has not lost a fight in 4 years, which is an incredible streak in that sport. He is the first fighter in Pittsburgh MMA history to win 2 titles in 2 different weight classes simultaneously. Ethan is a fighter because of a dream he's had ever since watching the very first Ultimate Fighter when he was 13 years old. He always felt that he was different, could do different things, and can be different than others in the small town he grew up in. He was born and raised on a farm on the outskirts of a very small town that doesn't even have a stoplight. Ethan wakes up at 5 a.m. every day, works from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. for himself and other construction companies as he runs a small excavating business. He leaves for the gym each day at 5 p.m., sometimes straight from the job site, and trains from 6 to 8 p.m., traveling an hour one way. Ethan has a soft spot for baby wild animals. He's known around his town for being the one to call when there's an abandoned baby animal. He has raised raccoons, squirrels, chipmunks, deer, and birds in his home. For the past 2 years, he's raised 2 pet raccoons named Chloe and Ivy. Just recently, he rescued 2 baby squirrels that he named Pip and Squeak. Ethan has spent the last 12 years competing in the toughest sport in the world, mixed martial arts, and has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is married to the lovely Kaylee. Ethan, the Wolverine Goss, welcome to Best in Class, sir. Great to have you.
Absolute honor to be here. Like you said, you and I go way back a long time ago when we met, and I've always appreciated everything you've ever done for me, and it's an absolute honor to be able to watch you do that's big like this and do stuff like this. So it's my pleasure to be a part of it.
It means a lot, champ. We do go back many years, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears through the journey. Maybe not so many tears, but a lot of blood and sweat. But there's ups and downs, and when you're doing something big like you're doing, there's ups and downs in this. When you're chasing a huge dream, an incredibly difficult dream in the toughest sport in the world, there's a lot to it, and we will talk about that today. The lessons you can pass on to anyone who's trying to be best in class at what they do, live a great life, be committed to excellence and service. And we're doing this at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. Ethan was kind enough to do this. He's got a busy day ahead of him, but this is who he is, working a full week, training, hard all week. And then 8 a.m. he's here doing this podcast. Again, that speaks to his commitment 100% of the time in everything he does. And one of my favorite things about Ethan is, obviously what he's done in MMA and the effort he's put into this, but really one of my favorite things is that his commitment to serving others and helping people around him, his family, young fighters that he's mentored and coached, given his time and energy and knowledge graciously, given his hands on a daily basis to help people, whether it's family this weekend or, fighters at the gym. That's, again, best in class. So definition is 100% commitment to excellence and service. And that's Ethan Goss. Our theme this year is the 10-year club, or this season is the 10-year club. And Ethan and I have talked about this. He's in the 10-year club in one of the toughest possible clubs you can get into, and it can't be bought with $1 billion. It could only be earned. Our definition of 10-year club is 10 years, one thing, 1% better than yesterday. And Ethan's done that in this and also in his business career as well. So, Ethan, if you're ready, we'll jump into the questions here. I can't wait. You and I, you've shared your philosophy for years with me, and you had a really great life philosophy at a young age. Even at 19, when we first met, you had a great instinct towards life and business and success and what it took. So, and now you're more clear on it than ever. You've got more wisdom than ever to share. So, first question are what are 3 to 5 key mindsets that will help someone become best in class at what they do?
The three for me are determination, resilience, and humbleness, right? Like you said about giving back, that's where the part of being humble comes in. Um, we can all be great at what we do, become great at what we do, be a figure that people, want to watch, or somebody that wants to be like, but you don't want, like, you would hate to meet your hero and him turn out to be a jerk, right? And, if you're in this business or other businesses like this where you become best in class, eventually you're going to be somebody's hero. And remember that, when you met your hero, how you felt when you met your hero. So humbleness is a big thing. Determination, like I said, because there's going to be so many setbacks and so many things that are going to push you back or knock you down a step, that you got to be determined to just keep going and not quit, if you get knocked down a peg, or if something doesn't go right or something like that. You got to be determined to get through the hard parts. And then resilience is, like we've talked about before, just keep showing up. If you just keep showing up and keep doing your push-ups, you're going to eventually get to where you want to go. So they would be my three.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, again, I've seen you live it. You know, I've seen you live it. That resilience. I mean, there's a literal resilience of being in a really hard sport, and then there's a mental resilience of just again showing up every day.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about you when I got to train with you, and we trained for several years, got to be a training partner, which made me 10 times better of a martial arts myself. Just getting to train with you, and you always pushing me. One of my favorite things about you, and that when it wasn't your skill set, even though that was elite, it was that you were always early. Okay, you were always early. You never canceled outside of an emergency. I can't even remember you canceling. I mean, something probably had to happen. Your maybe car broke down or something, but reliability, you could set your watch to you showing up and showing up early and always being ready. And that maybe segues into some key habits of success that anybody could apply that you've applied to your life to be very successful in business and in mixed martial arts. What are some key habits for you?
Waking up early is one, right? You always want to start your day early. The earlier you start your day, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later on, but I picked that up from a Kobe Bryant interview, where he discussed about, think if you go to practice at 12 and train 12 to 2 and then 4 to 6, and then you get 2 practices, and just think if you'd start at 8 a.m. or 4 a.m. and you get this much more work in. So starting early gives you a chance to create, a better day to create more or accomplish more throughout the day. Um, Two is visualization for me. I'm always thinking, I'm always visualizing, even in the most random spots. I might be in the shower, and next thing you know, I'm thinking I'm punching a guy in the face while I'm in the shower. As at my work, I might be running a machine, but while I'm working, I might be visualizing, something else. Um, Maybe it's a post-fight speech in the UFC octagon. Maybe it's whatever fight that I have coming up. Um, I just always visualize like something that I want to happen and try to manifest it. And then three would be oh, I had it here and then I just lost it. Um, Three would be, I can't think of what I just had it in the end of my head and you got me talking and I forgot about it.
It's 8 a.m. on a Saturday. I know it's going
Yeah,
to come back to you. We could expand on the first two. It'll come back to you. I know it'll hit
yeah,
at some point in the interview.
go
Even
ahead.
if you only gave two, those are gold. Get up early and visualize success. And you hear that from some of the absolute top performers in the world, and also performance coaches in the world. Top performance psychologists, they say the exact same thing you do. 5 a.m. That's
Yeah.
Ethan's up at 5 a.m. Visualize.
Um, like I said, you look at most of the successful people in the world, The Rock, perfect example. Look at what time that guy's getting out of bed every morning. And he does it every morning to just work out for, you know, his own personal gain and his own personal preference. I guess what he likes to do. Like we said about Kobe Bryant. Um, Kobe Bryant was a different kind of guy, very different kind of guy. And if you listen to anything, and I'm not a basketball fan, I'm not a basketball fan whatsoever, but like Kobe Bryant caught my attention. Just his mentality, like the Mamba mentality, what they would say about him. So I watched a lot of documentaries and stuff on him. Um, but yeah, visualizing is part of the law of attraction, right? You visualize it, you believe it, you think it, you believe it, you speak it to the universe, the universe will make it happen. That's kind of the way the law of attraction works. But um, there's also a realistic, process to that. I don't visualize me stepping in a ring and icing somebody in 2.1 seconds, right? The chances of that happen are, it can happen, yes, but the chances of that happening are probably slim to none, right? So when I visualize like for competitions or fights or anything like that, I do it realistically. I know what this guy's strengths might be. Maybe it's wrestling, maybe it's jiu-jitsu. Okay, I know that there's a good chance or a good possibility that I'm getting taken down. What am I going to do when I get taken down? I work, I visualize what I'm going to do to get, whether it's pop right back up, whether it's defend off the ground for a little bit, whether it's even attack submissions. Um, you have to be realistic in your goals and in your visualization, and trying to um, picture and put things the way you want them to be. Because no matter what you do, whether it's competition or whether it's anything in life, you're always going to have some type of adversity that's going to come your way. So I always visualize the adversity with it.
Mm. Oh, that's an important tip there. In addition, visualizing adversity and overcoming it. That's a part that often is left out. And I know George St. Pierre does that, and he talks about it. You do it. Other champions, other very successful entrepreneurs visualize that adversity as well. And I love your two habits. They a beautiful combination, because one is the mind, the mindset, the self-image, the mental performance end of things with the visualization, and then there's the practical action, which is the 5 a.m. Wake up early, get things done. So you've got a mindset, and now you've got an action. And you also talked about something that I know you've done for years, as long as I've known you, is studying the greats. As long as I've known you, you've always studied the greats, been fascinated by the champions.
That was my third one.
Oh, there it is. Look at
That's
us.
what it was. Uh, you got it. All right, there's number three. You said it for me.
There it is. Well, I've known you for years, and I've seen you do it as long as I've known you. And it's again what Kobe did. Kobe would talk about going to Goat Mountain, go to the greatest of all time mountain, and go study them. And he would call them up and learn from them. And now we can do it online. We can watch videos and listen to interviews and read books. But that's again what a great trinity of habits here for success. If you're a young person listening to this, if you're a business owner, if you're a school teacher, if you're a police chief, law enforcement, get up early and get things done. Visualize your success and overcoming adversity, and then study the greats and do what they do. It's beautiful. It's just okay. I don't want to add anything to that. That is just gold. Again, any profession, any discipline. Do you have anything to add to that? Habits? Do you want anything, Champ?
No, I'd say that was them three right there were. I'm glad you said the third one, because I like totally brain farted. But yeah, studying the goats. Because you want to follow daily habits, and you want to understand the mentality of somebody that's got to the place where you want to be, right? And like I said, it doesn't just have to be with whatever sport you're in or whatever career you're in, right? Um, you can focus on somebody like that's in a completely different career that's the top of their food chain, and just understand their mentality and their habits because everybody's got different ways, right? So, but that would pretty much it for me on that.
Okay. One of the best answers I've ever heard to this question. Thank you for that, to both questions, actually. It's the blueprint, the Wolverine, the champ's given us the blueprint to becoming best in class in anything you want to do. Third question, define excellence. What's your definition of excellence?
Um, it would be mastering your craft, um, becoming, you know, the top tier of what it is you do. Excellence to me is not perfection because perfection is near impossible. Um, each person has a different way of doing things. You have a different way of accomplishing something, and I have a different way of accomplishing something. Neither one makes it right or wrong if it's working, right? Your way might be excellent for you. My way might be excellent for me. Excellence is honing your craft, spending enough time to um, understand it, how to go about it, how to create it, and create the good parts of it, to create, a winning environment for yourself. Excellence is just basically being in the 10-year club because you hone your craft and you become a master of your craft when you've served it for 10 years, consistently. And to me, that's excellence. Like I said, it's not perfection because perfection is near impossible. And what might not be perfect for me might be perfect for you, right? So that's my definition on excellence.
Outstanding definition, sir. Outstanding. How about service? Define service for you.
It's just the act of service is the act of help. Um, there's all different types of service, whether it's paid service, whether it's volunteer service. Service is, you know, that's the part of giving back. That's the part of, um, if I go to the gym and some young fighter comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want to learn how to fight," it is I say, "Okay, yeah, come to this class. You can train with me. I spend time working with them." That's me giving my service back to this young kid that wants to become what I am or what other people are in the gym. So service is, the act of help, in my opinion, is the act of helping.
Mm. Oh, excellent, sir. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Ooh, go ahead.
Here we go. Like I said, 8 a.m. on a Saturday. The rapid fire. Here's the coffee for the day. What is one big hardship that you overcame in life, personal or professional, that you want to share?
Professionally, I was in a drought at one point. You were there, you've seen it. I think I lost 4 fights in a row. At the beginning of my career or beginning of my pro career, end of my amateur career, beginning of my pro career, I dropped 4 fights in a row. So I started out 0-2. And, like anybody else, when you start into a game like this, you don't know what's going to happen. You think you're going to be the next best thing and you're going to be this god in the ring. And then you find out it's way harder than you anticipated it to be. And, digging myself out of that drought because then it was a constant battle. I would win a couple fights, lose another, win one, lose two, till finally, you know, I had my first crack at the world or at the 247 featherweight championship, lost. Went to have another fight, lost that fight and a fight that I should have won. And then it was I had to have a day of reckoning with myself and, figure out what I needed to do. And at that point, it was the change that I needed. And from that point on, we've been on a 6 fight win streak. We claimed two championship belts in two different weight classes. So overcoming that was probably one of the hardest things I've done, because it's just you want it so bad and you work for it so hard, but sometimes things are off and you don't even realize it and you don't know it until afterwards and you're looking back on it.
Mm. And I was there to see it, and I saw the effort that you were putting into it. It wasn't for a lack of effort. It wasn't for a lack of dedication. It wasn't for a lack of not showing up. Again, you're always early, always showing up, almost never took time off after fights, just kept going, worked through injuries, and you were pushing, pushing, pushing. And oftentimes I see, people who make these major breakthroughs and achieve big things. There's a point where they have to start thinking different and trying different. Okay.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I remember that there was a time right there before this winning streak where you started thinking different and trying different, thinking different about yourself and fighting, and also trying different in terms of your strategy of preparation. And can you just talk about that briefly? Because that was it's one of my favorite moments in anybody's story that I know personally in their life, how you were able to overcome that and then do what you're doing now. And again, in the toughest sport in the world. So it
Yeah.
wasn't checkers.
Um, for me, like I said, after I lost my first shot at the 247 featherweight championship, that was when COVID hit and came around, and everything got messed up with that. And then the 247 was going to put on a fight, and of course, me being a pro fight, I am paid for my services of fighting. Um, so we only had one option to take another fight in Pittsburgh, and that option was not an option that I was interested in, to say the least, because there was a guy that only had like 2 fights. Um, I at the time had 10 fights, and it didn't make sense to me. It wasn't like there was no gain for this, but it was the only way that I was going to compete, giving that time during COVID. So I did it, and I ended up, getting caught, I think, in the first round with a guillotine choke, and I lost the fight. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, wow, like at that moment, I'm thinking, wow, maybe you don't have it. Like maybe you come and going, like this is it. And that was the first year that the Pennsylvania Game Commission started hunting season on um, Sunday. So I got home, and that Sunday was rifle season, opening day of rifle season. And I remember I just took the gun out in the woods. I went for the walk, and that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because I was out in the quiet of nature, in the middle of the woods by myself. I wasn't even really looking for deer to shoot. I was just thinking. And I had to have the conversation with myself. What are you gonna do? Are you done? Are you gonna keep going? Is this is this what you want to do? If this is what you want to do, what do we have to change? And it became like as more I stood there, and the more I thought, and the more I thought, it was like I started to force myself into, you're not done. You got too many people counting on you, too many people believing in you. So I went back to the gym, picked up, started to, just basically created being a sponge again. Go back in with open ears, and everything that you got to listen to. Ask your coaches what they thought I did wrong. Where was I at, before the fight? Where was I at, when the warm up? And they gave me their honest opinions, and I did some things that I didn't usually do and was off. So I said, okay, think about it. And I even take that away from wins. I do that, even if I win a fight. If I feel like something's off, I'll go back and think about what was different, what didn't I like, what did I feel off about. But you know, went back, one fight led to another. My next fight was against a state champion wrestler out of Wisconsin. So we bit one, took a tough one right off the bat. And I knew then it was do or die. It was back against the wall. You have to win. And I ended up beating the kid from Wisconsin. And then the next fight was a Bellator guy. And it was on a 3-week notice. I was preparing to fight, but we didn't have an opponent until 3 weeks out. And it ended up being a Bellator guy out of a very good gym down in Maryland. And that was the night that I just let loose. Like I got in there and then just hit flow state, and I just started letting loose, and we ended up winning fight of the year. It was very gruesome fight back and forth, but it did what it had to do and was able to pull off the win.
Mm. And that, I mean, that's just a perfect example of thinking different and trying different because, like we talked about earlier, I don't think you could have tried any harder.
Yeah.
You were already all in. It wasn't about trying harder. It was about trying different and thinking different about what it was going to take next. And you took the perfect steps. Number one, you gave yourself space to think. Okay, let me get some space, some quiet to think. Number two, you sought feedback and expertise. What could I do better? What didn't I do right? Which takes humility, like you
Yes.
talked about earlier, right? And then number three, you did some analysis yourself on what you thought you could do better. So you thought about it and reflected yourself. You got that external feedback, but then you also reflected on it. After wins and losses, what am I doing right? What a great recipe for thinking different and trying different. Instead of just trying harder and banging, doing the same, more of the same, you paused, gave yourself space to think, let me think different and try different. And now we're on a 6-fight win streak 4 years later, being looked at the top by the top organization in the world, in mixed martial arts. That's a perfect story of thinking different and trying different. And anyone who's listening, if you're stuck and you're not moving forward and you've been trying your best, you have to do exactly what Ethan the Wolverine Goss just explained. You got to pause, give yourself space to think, seek that external feedback from people you trust, people that qualified opinions that you trust. And then you make those adjustments, right? Quickly, because you didn't just listen to the feedback, you quickly made the adjustments. And then you reflected again. Great recipe for getting unstuck, in anything in life. And it takes humility, it takes, dedication and resilience to do it. Ethan, who are 3 people you looked up to and learned from? Could be people in your life, or it could be people you studied from afar.
Um, Number one would be my father. My father's taught me everything that I've ever pretty much known in life. Um, my work ethic and my mentality a lot comes from my father and my father's side of the family. Um, I got a 99 about to be 99-year-old grandmother that is as ruthless as they come.
I was hoping
I
you're going to
mean,
bring her up. That's a good part of the
yeah.
story.
I mean, I've I've seen that woman fall and get up and shake it off. Um, I've seen her get hurt and refuse to go to the hospital and have one of my cousins pop her shoulder back in place. Like she is brutal. She is one of the toughest that there is. And that work mentality and that grinder mentality comes from that side of the family. Um, so my father was a big one. My coaches, um, just because you know they invest so much time into me, so much free time too. It's not like they're getting rich off any of this, or they're investing into me and helping me. And like my one coach, Darren, he said he was always trained for free. He has zero interest in being paid, any kind of money to be able to train people. And so to be surrounded by people like that is, you know, and think the same way. It's few and far between. You don't run into that too many times. And the last one would be actually yourself, my man AJ Madden here. You know, you've done so many things for me mentally, right? And like you said, when we met, I was a 19-year-old kid, and you've helped me from the start with all this stuff, and still to this day, this is the first time we've seen each other in a while, and still to this day, when I have a fight, you call me on fight day, and you call me the day after fight day. You're always checking in, you're always sending me advice and things and stuff that you come across, and anytime I've ever had a question, you were always there to answer. So I tell people all the time, you're one of the greatest human beings I've ever met, and I've met you through this sport, through this journey.
Honored, champ. Yeah, honored to hear that. And the feeling's mutual. I think we've always made a great team, and you're definitely an inspiration of mine. How you've lived your life, and what you do, as well. And I tell stories about you as well, your habits, mindsets, and what
Mhm.
you do and how you've lived the best in class life. So I think we've made a great team. I appreciate the kind words so much. Yeah, it means a lot. And, we're going to do this probably for another, hopefully 50 years here. Yeah, I love you and I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. And, yeah, it's always been an honor, brother. You're an inspiration. I know you're going to inspire a lot of people in this interview. And I know your dad's extremely proud of you. I'm sure he is. Your grandmother as well. I see where you get this toughness from. I didn't know it. She bounced back from a few falls.
Yeah,
She's got that Wolverine genes in her that she's passed on to you.
she's
That
the immortal one.
There you go. There you go. She'd be a great interview for somebody, I'm sure. Uh, yeah, I was hoping you're going to bring her up because I know you've talked about her a bunch of times, and I always look for new heroes every day that I can find, and I found one today in her, and in her story, and in what she does. That's a beautiful thing. And again, I appreciate the kind words, champ. It's an honor to call you friend and to be on the journey with your fellow traveler here. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would you choose? One person that you admire the most, alive or passed on?
I had to really think about this one, um, because there's so many people, and one of the people to me would be President Abraham Lincoln. He is considered um, one of the greatest presidents in the history of the United States. He ended slavery. He had basically one of the best runs that there is. And most people, like I said, most people when they do a survey or something like that, they usually number one is Abraham Lincoln. So that guy was best in class, like at what he did. And one of the other things that I'm sure some people know, but not a lot of people know, is that he was a wrestler, in college or in high school or in college. And that was one of the things that he did. And I love talking to like them type of people, especially somebody that's been, or at the top of the food chain, but it all stems down to where we have something in common to where we were both wrestlers. And I see, majority of what wrestling mentality creates for people and what they can become. Um, as I've said this before, me and my coach stand on the same ground on this. Like, I think wrestling is a sport every kid should have to try. And I've said that multiple times because the biggest thing that it can do is it can teach you how to lose. Um, because no matter what we do in life, we're going to get beat at some point. Something's going to beat us. Something's going to make you fail. And with wrestling, you learn at a young age, 5, 6 years old. I go out on a mat, it's 1-on-1. I lose, it's on me. It ain't coach's fault. It ain't, Joe Schmo down the street. It ain't just because his teammate didn't catch a ball. It's I got beat because I wasn't good enough. And every time you fail, the sad truth is it's because you're not good enough, right? So you go back and figure out what's going to make you good enough to win. It's okay to fail, but we fail forward, right?
Well, another one of my favorite answers on the podcast. That was a good one. Talking about, like you said, best in class, Abraham Lincoln, and widely considered as the best president of all time. And again, Ethan's been a student of the game, all types of games. He's named a few people that he's looked up to or just studied, and Abe Lincoln or Kobe Bryant or Dwayne Johnson, who's had a ton of success, and others I know that you've talked to me about. So it's being that great student, it's that student of greatness, that constant student of best in class all the time. And I think that's a great answer for any wrestlers out there, young wrestlers or wrestling coaches, to make that connection between Abraham Lincoln, arguably the greatest president of all time in wrestling, and that what wrestling teaches you, that resilience. I'm going to be sure to share this with as many young wrestlers and wrestlers coaches as I can. What a great answer. What's your favorite quote, champ?
Um, it's actually, believe it was Brian Kane said it on your first podcast. Success isn't difficult. People are. That one stuck to me because it's 100% right. Um, you know, in the ability to gain success is not difficult, you know. It's the person that makes it difficult. It's just like anything else. Um, Anything can be difficult, but anything can also be made easier. And it all depends on the person that's doing it and the person that's trying to accomplish it. So that was probably one of my favorite quotes, and that was just recent. Well, I mean, he was last season. You had him on, and I listened to the podcast, and that was like, oh wow, that's a good one.
Mm.
Like I like that.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful quote there. You and Brian Kane are kindred spirits. He's worked with 8 UFC world champions, and you two have a lot in common in your philosophy. Yeah, he did. He's a genius at what he does. Um, he's got so many good things to say, and that's a really good one. That can resonate with a lot of people. That one in particular, beautiful choice. What is what are three of your favorite personal development books or biographies or things that you've read over the years that could help someone again be on their journey to excellence and service?
This is a spot where I actually need to get better because I don't read that much. I don't take time to sit down and read a lot of books. This is a spot where something I need to work on, where I need to understand and, like I said, be a little bit better. Basically, listen to your goats. But I do watch a lot of the documentaries and stuff like that. The three that come to me in the top of my head, and like I said, two of them are basketball, and I hate basketball, despise it. I feel like every wrestler should, right? But uh, The Last Dance by Michael Jordan and The Dream Team documentary on Netflix about, when they won and I'll explain those two here in a second. And then the third one was the Kurt Angle documentary.
Okay.
And well, actually, I kind of have four.
Yeah, keep
Um,
going. As many as you want.
Rulon Gardner, the documentary of Rulon Gardner.
Okay.
I would actually put Rulon ahead of Kurt
Okay.
because that is an amazing, one of the most amazing stories that you could ever hear.
Mm.
But I'll start at the top. Michael Jordan, the GOAT, like I said, the best guy that's ever done it. Um, his mentality and what he would do to get in a winner's mindset. He would literally make up comments and be like, "Oh, this guy from this team said this," and like he would like drill that into his own, even though it wasn't true. Like Michael would make that up and say it to the public or to a coach or something, and then we kind of get around the locker room, and then Michael would get it in his head that this guy actually said that, so it would make him flip the switch and go into game mode whenever he come out, and then he would just lay it on the line. Um, the dream team is because one man single-handedly changed that game for them, and it was none other than Kobe Bryant. Um, you listen to the story when these guys talk about it and they get out to Vegas. They're all out there and they all want to go out. They say, we all go out, everyone except Kobe. And we all come back in. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. We're getting in the hotel and we see Kobe, you know, out in his workout gear. We're like, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to work out. Like, you serious? Like they all thought he was joking. Like Kobe was there for one reason and one reason only, and that was to win. And he single-handedly changed the mindset of that whole team. They all, after that, they all started to follow him to the gym first thing in the morning. You know what I mean? Every one of them but he's the one that led the charge. And, you know, that was one of the greatest documentaries to see somebody like him, single-handedly take charge of an all-star team with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, you know what I mean? All-star players. And Kobe was the one to take charge of that. And then the Rulon Gardner um, documentary, that one was wow. The guy that upset arguably the greatest wrestler in the world, the guy that's only ever lost one time before Gardner, on his way to win, I believe his fourth Olympic gold medal. I think it was fourth. And he was just a big old pig farmer. from out west, and the dude literally might have been one of the toughest human beings that's ever been on the planet. You know, he got stuck in a snowmobile accident, broke through the ice, and withstood frostbite, and you know what I mean. Lost a couple toes and stuff, and was in a motorcycle wreck a week before, you know, a trial tournament, and dislocated his wrist 7 times. You know, wrestling in a tournament, still come back and win. Like that guy's story is, you know, it's pretty amazing. Like I said, he's just a big old pig farmer from out west.
Oh, great examples, sir. Great examples. Those are all must watches. You know, all three. And I love how you really shared that Kobe story about he taught them how to be great. He taught the rest of the dream team what it took to be best in class, what it took to be great, what it took to be a champion through his
Yeah,
example.
yeah. I mean, he just, you know, the mentality of that man was different, built different, is different. Um, No, it was whatever it takes, right? You do whatever it takes to to get where you want to go, and that's the resilience that we talked about earlier. The commitment to your craft. If that's what you want to do, you know, then that's what you commit to. And I've heard The Rock say this before, and I'm a firm believer in it. Um, you don't spend 40 hours a week making somebody else's dream be possible, and not spend any time the rest of the week making your own, right?
Right.
Because, you know, most people get up, they have a 40-hour week job, you know what I mean? They go make their money to be able to live and be able to do the things that they do. But you got a lot of other time in the week to do what you want to do, and to focus on what you want to focus on, and to create a dream that you want to create, and become what you want to become. Um, that's probably, you know, one of the greatest pieces of advice you could give somebody. Um, because it's at the end of the day, it's just all hard work. You know, there's no talent or anything. It's just all hard work. And I wish more people would think that, believe that way. Obviously, not everyone's going to. I can't. I have a hard time registering with lazy people that don't want to do anything. People want to sit at home, you know, play video games, all this stuff. Um, Not that there's anything wrong with all that, but it's if you know if it consumes your life and that's all you want, then like I wish more people would focus on their dream. You know, go become what you want to become, and you know if it's really what you want to do, you'll make it work at all costs. Um, Same for us and doing what we did at the gym. You know, made it work at all cost. Drive more than I should have to drive. You know, leave work when I shouldn't be leaving work to make it happen. Like it's just you when it becomes a commitment, it becomes a goal, you become resilient and you just keep showing up no matter what.
Oh, there was a quite a few important points there in that everything you said there, and I really like what you said about if you want to get up off the couch, find a dream and chase it.
Yeah.
You know, go after something that gets you excited, a dream, a goal. That'll get you up off the couch. That'll get you excited to do something and find purpose in your life. So go after your dreams. There were so many other important things there. The mileage. One of my favorite things about your story is the mileage that I tell people 100,000 plus miles on the road, you know, thousands of rounds in the ring, in training and in fights. We figured out once how many we estimated how many miles you've driven in your car because you're going. I know when you and I trained together, it was close to an hour one way, and it's still. And is it still close to
Yeah.
an hour one way to
Yeah,
the
it's like
gym?
40 minutes one way. I think when I added it up, I think I was over like 200,000 miles. With 12 years of training the way that we're training, because like you said, I grew up in a small town. I live in the sticks. I mean, I'm lucky to have internet service, let alone a gym to train to fight somebody in. Um, but you know, I got to drive, you know, to Altoona State College, and you know, that's another thing. Could I have made it easier on myself? if I moved to Las Vegas or Florida or something like that, yes, absolutely. A lot of people persuaded me, to do that. But part of my goal was to become something nobody has ever done by doing it here, right? Part of my goal was, all these young kids growing up in that school that I went to, or local surrounding areas where stuff like this just doesn't happen. Part of my goal was to show you it can't, no matter where you come from, it can be done, right? You can become whatever it is that your dream is or whatever it is you want to be. Maybe it's to be a world-class actor. Maybe it's to be a big artist like music industry. I don't know, whatever it is. I don't think that let your situation of where your location is hold you back. Um, if I can do this, if I can make it to the UFC by still living and growing up here in Petersburg and training in Altoona, you know what I mean? What's that going to say for anybody else being able to make it? That was part of the goal. You know, obviously the big goal is to make it to the UFC, but part of it was to show that it can be done. Um, it's not impossible to do, you know, just because of where your location is.
I'm glad you shared that story and those particulars about small town, small gym, and taking the hard path, choosing I call it making the heroic choice, taking the difficult path, and as to show people that it can be done, as well as uh, it's much more fulfilling when you take the path you're taking and you get there because you did something that wasn't done and you didn't take the easy route. You took the more difficult path. And one of my true tests of success, whether it's in business or personally, is ultimate test of success in a person is, can they do a lot with a little? Can they do a lot with a little? And
Yeah.
Ethan has minimal resources, minimal training partners, some great coaches there, but just minimal exposure, and training partners. Whereas a lot of fighters that go into the UFC are in larger gyms, larger towns, more coaches, more training partners, higher level training partners. But Ethan's been able to carve out a really exceptional career with far less resources, which again, ultimate test of success. One of the ultimate tests, can you do a lot with a little? And you're proving it in so many ways, which I hope is inspiring to people that you can do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
You just have to
Um,
commit.
you've seen it firsthand. You called it the bootleg operation.
Yeah, we had a
You know,
bootleg operation. It
when
was
I
you and I at
started,
one point for a
well,
while.
yeah, when I started my pro career, it was just me and you. You know what I mean? We were two guys. Um, there was no real coach, no real, training partners. Um, but it was what I wanted to do, and you were there to help. And I was like, I'll make it work at all costs. We do what we got to do. And, you know, like you said, bootleg operation. It's a miracle we made it as far as we did with what we have. And I explained this to a lot of people, recently too. It's like you go to Pittsburgh, you got the population of whatever in Pittsburgh, and you walk into Stout Gym on a Saturday where they do the big spar days at lunchtime, and there's maybe 30 people. Out of
Wow.
that whole city of Pittsburgh, there's maybe 30 people in that gym on a Saturday that's sparring and getting ready to fight. And you come to Altoona, where the population is a fraction of the size of Pittsburgh, and you walk in on sparring day, and there's maybe 3 people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like in my field and what I do, it's just not super big in this area, right? The UFC, all that stuff, it all came big on the West Coast, venturing out. But and then another thing is like if I make it, from here and I show that it's possible to do it, what is that going to create for the future of this sport in this area? If I make it onto the UFC and some 16-year-old kids at home watching UFC and they see Ethan Goss fighting out of Altoona, Pennsylvania, I mean, he's going to sit up out of his seat and be like, "Where's he training at?" You know what I mean? And you know, to help grow the industry and grow the business, um, and grow the sport here, is the future. Like that's what I hope to happen in the future. But off by what I'm doing.
And it will happen. You know, when you're in the UFC, there's going to be someone young who needs martial arts and mixed martial arts in their life at that time, whether, 16, 17, 18, 19, even their 20s, where they'll get inspired, where they needed that in their life. Because mixed martial arts can bring so many good things to people's life. The discipline, you're around some great people, it gives you purpose, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And it has happened. You've inspired young fighters already. I know that with your journey and your career, and it's only going to happen at a bigger scale, because you think big first. I mean, Brian Cain talks about everything happens twice, once in our mind and once in reality. And I've watched you do that over and over again since you were about 19, to say it happened in your mind first, and then you made it happen in reality through everything you talked about: dedication, getting up early, commitment. You made it happen, and whatever you want to happen next will happen. And I want people to think about that you can create the life you want and things that you want if you can see it first in your mind. You can visualize, and then you can do your push-ups, put the repetitions in, and study the greats as well. Ethan's third habit that he talked about. You combine those things together, studying the greats, getting up early, doing the work, and visualizing it. There's a lot of great things that can happen to you in your life, personally and professionally. And I know we only have a little bit more time, champ. I'll blast through these. I'm glad they weren't rapid fire, by the way, because your answers deserve the time and that you were able to give them. I'm glad you expanded on them as much as you did. What's your proudest accomplishment?
Um, in my professional career, it's really turning it around. Like I said, I had a rough start. Um, it was dark places there for a while. And being able to turn that around in the toughest sport in the world and win two, you know, championship belts, to go out in Pittsburgh. It took me 3 tries to win a world title. Um, and on the third try, like, I had a different mindset going in. Like, going into the other ones, I had this I'm the number one contender mindset. And going into the third fight, I had I'm the guy. I'm the champion. Like, I am the man tonight. And
I remember
you
that.
know, going into that fight, that was probably one of my most dominant performances that I've ever put on the line. And having that mentality was the biggest key factor of it. But coming to about and then winning the second world championship at a different weight class, this was it was originally I was to defend my championship belt, and 2 days before the show, I get a phone call that my guy's not going to make weight. So I am like, okay, yeah, we'll just do a catch weight. And they're like, no, he ain't gonna make catch weight. And I'm like, oh, what's he gonna do? And they were like, he's gonna be a whole weight class up. And this was, I had to make a choice on the fly. I'm either gonna fight or I'm not gonna fight. And to be honest with you, I put too much time in. I was down to 2 days away from the end of my camp. I just spent 6 to 8 weeks grinding, traveling, putting thousands of miles on my car, you know, just to prepare for this. And it was a no-brainer. I'm moving up in weight. I'll move up a weight class, and you're gonna put that title on the line for me to do it. And I'm gonna take a shot at champ status. And so that was probably the proudest accomplishment that I've ever did. And I beat the kid, that had a size advantage on me and all that stuff. And um, as far as professional career goes, that's the proudest accomplishment I have.
And that all started, like you said, with your thoughts. I
Yeah,
am. And I remember talking to you that day, and I thought, there's no way he's losing this fight. I mean, it's just inevitable. And no disrespect to the opponent.
yeah,
Um, it was a great opponent. But I just remember you felt it. It was powerful. And that's, we talk about think different, try different. And that was just a switch flipped in your head, all those hundreds of thousands of miles and all the push-ups and all the, trying different at that point to change the way you did things. It all hit. And I believe it all success comes down to two things: self-image and standards, which you've hit
mhm,
on really well today. Your self-image is I am, and all the visualization you did. The standards is show me your day, I'll show you your future.
yes,
What's your day look like? And that's what you're talking about in terms of who you study, studying the greats and getting up early and getting it done. And, if anyone who wants to be successful, Ethan really laid the blueprint out today, continue to raise your self-image and continue to raise your standards. Right. And and I've seen it in real time in the toughest sport of the world, what that can do. Ethan, do you have time for 3 more quick questions here?
Yeah, I'm good, buddy.
Okay. Thank you, sir. What is one piece of advice you'd give someone starting out in their career or business? Someone who's starting out on their journey to success. They're a 19-year-old Wolverine and they're starting a big career, something tough that they want to achieve, a dream they have. What advice would you give that person?
Buckle up. It's going to get rough before it gets better. So, I mean, you have to be a sponge, right? You have to learn, nonstop learn. If you go into something thinking that you know too much or you know it all, right? Never ever are you going to gain very much off this. Um, Even the janitor can come up with good ideas, right? Even the janitor in the Trump Tower, might have a good idea. And if you watch people like Elon Musk, in interviews that he's done before, he was doing an interview about something with the Tesla cars, and the reporter asked him a certain question, and you could see Elon's gears click in his head, like, oh my God, I never thought of that. That's a good idea. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
mm.
To always be a sponge. But the hardest and the toughest thing is consistency. Because when I say consistency, I mean, when you wake up that day, if you don't feel like doing it, you still got to do it. If you don't feel like, whether it's going to the gym or whatever it might be, like in my case, going to practice, if you don't feel like going to practice, you have to still go to practice. Make yourself go to practice. If you don't feel like doing the paperwork for your business, you have to do the paperwork. Whatever it might be, the consistency is the hard part. No matter what, just make it a daily routine of doing it, right? When it becomes a daily routine, next thing you know, time flies by and you're already in a spot that you dreamt of being in that you didn't even realize you're there. You know what I mean? Because it becomes routine habit and becomes a thing you do day by day by day by day. And it just, that consistency is, like you've talked about and I've talked about, is doing your push-ups. Nobody's above it. Um, Everybody starts at the bottom on it. Some people try to jump levels and you find out quick you can, to a certain point, skip levels, but eventually it's going to catch up with you, especially in the world of fighting. You know, that's, you're going to physically find out that, when you skip levels, that it's going to catch up to you. But, yeah, that would be my advice to somebody starting out.
Okay. Excellent, sir. Excellent. Boy, that applies to anything again in life, anything you're trying to do, be consistent, be a sponge. You know, it's simple. I mean, success is simple. It's math. Wolverine's laid out the formula for us today. Don't overthink this. I mean, any expert, the highest levels of expert on success and performance. Fortunately, I've had some of those people on the show, Wolverine included here, Ethan included. They're all saying the same things. Right. And what Ethan talked about today, the best in the world, they speak the same language. Okay. They think the same thoughts. They have extremely similar habits. And that's something I want everyone to take away. It's not that complicated. Don't overthink things. Keep it simple. Just to focus on the fundamentals that Wolverine talked about today. Let's see. So we've got one more question here. Where can listeners find you, champ, online, social media, your gym, anything you want to share, your business?
Yeah, I am on Facebook, just under Ethan Goss. I do have a fan page, but I don't dabble with it very much. I'm on Instagram at Ethan Goss 9. Instagram is where you see a little bit more of my fighting career, personal life. Might see a picture of a raccoon or something on there, pet raccoon or something. Uh, and then I'm also on Twitter at Ethan_Goss. Twitter's where I follow just a lot of the fight news and all that stuff. But yeah, there are my 3 social media outlets that, you can follow me, find me at. My business is called Goss Excavating. We stay pretty local here, and me and my father run that business together. So, but yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me at on social media platforms and outlets.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And then Ethan is a two-weight champion, two-time fighter of the year, and 24/7 fighting championships out of Pittsburgh. Built himself into a legend, in Pittsburgh with his own 2 feet and his two hands, and a lot of mileage, a lot of push-ups. Okay, champ. Anything you'd like to leave us with? You gave us so much today, and I appreciate your time. And again, 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning after working a 60-hour week.
Yeah.
He's here, bringing it. Anything else you want to add, champ, that we didn't cover?
Um, that's pretty much it. I mean, just don't make things more difficult than they need to be. My dad always says, make a mountain out of a molehill, you know. Um, I feel like that's what happens a lot of the time with people when they want to attack something or go after something, they create problems for themselves, you know. Just visualize an attack, um, study what might be the best way to go about something, and when it comes down to the end of the time, just do it, you know. Um, another quick quote that my dad always told me, and no, you got to remember my dad's old school. There's three kind of people in the world. There's uh, there's ones that think they know how to do things. There's ones that know how to do things, and then there's ones that don't even have a clue what just happened. And you see that all in life, whether you got somebody that might be able to tell you out of a book how to do something, but you give them the hammer and the nail and they can't do it themselves. And then there's guys that are just walking around off in la la land that don't know what's going on. And then there's guys that no matter what happens, they can make things happen. I prefer to be the guy that can make things happen because at the end of the day, things only get done by people that can make them happen. But yeah, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Don't make things more difficult than they need to be. It's like Brian Kane said, success ain't difficult, people are. Um, I think just that is a very, very true statement and a very, very good thing to focus on, for anyone that's trying to get anywhere in life.
Thank you, champ.
Thank you, Ruddy. Thanks for having me on.
It was an honor, sir. Honor to have you. Can't wait to share this interview with the world. Again, I appreciate you, your friendship, your inspiration, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Keep being who you are, and your commitment to excellence and service is inspiring to me firsthand, and I know it's inspiring to others. Talk to you soon, champ. Thanks again.
Likewise, brother. Thank you. It was an honor, my honor, for sure.
Yeah, love you, brother. Thanks for
Love you
everything.
too, buddy.
Take care.